All right, awesome. Uh, so for our practice today, most important thing is to take care of yourself, honor your body. If you have anything that can be used as props, feel free to grab that stuff. If you don't have anything, no worries. And what else? I'll give you lots of options throughout the practice as well today. Um, my name is Danny, and other thing, all this stuff is being recorded, so it is on our website, recreation.uw.edu, and if you have a UW Net ID, you can access these recordings at another time. If you don't, we're working on another option to put this stuff up on YouTube, so you can have access to it as well. We also have some fitness class offerings. I was actually doing some of that earlier this morning with our fitness manager, Jeff, who is both skilled but also funny. So if you're looking for a little bit of levity and lightness, check those out. So today in our practice, one of the things that I was thinking about, I heard someone yesterday talk about just a reminder of the healthcare workers that are on the front line of what's going on out there in the world. And it just made me think about people here in Seattle and everywhere, but especially in my community, of just really stepping up every single day to show up and support people and help them in all ways, not just related to this virus. So just made me think of the place of the heart, this just place that we can connect to as a place of home base, of grounding, and to also anchor there for ourselves, but also to be able to expand that out and just remember that others can feel that support, and even just holding them in your mind's eye, in your heart space, I think can make a little bit of a difference as they engage so fully. So we'll start in a seated position. Adjust yourself for comfort here. If anything goes technically wrong, just let me know. I'm on my computer as well, so I'll check in with that. If your knees are higher than your waistline, you're feeling tension, you have some props around, you can always prop the blocks to the side of your knees for a little bit of added support as well. Root down into the support of the ground, lengthen, make any little movements with your head, neck, shoulders. From there, take a deep, full breath in through your nose or through your mouth. Exhale it out, let it go. Relax through your eyelids, partway or fully closed. And take a few moments to land here in this space, this time that you've carved out to be in this experience, in this practice. And as you honor and welcome your body, however it's showing up this morning, whether there's more ease or whether there's a little bit of tension, start to connect to your breath. And begin to deepen your inhalation. Exhale to let your breath go, moving into a diaphragmatic breath, full and expansive. As you set the foundation of this deep breath, bring both of your palms to touch in front of your heart center. And with your next inhale, start to expand out. Palms flow to the right and left. Elbows stay bent as you open to the sides. With the exhale, like two magnets drawing in towards each other, let your palms come to touch at center. So mirror this movement with your breath. Inhale to open, expand from heart center out. With the exhalation, draw back into the support of center. And continue this movement and breath coordination. Inhale to expand. Exhale to draw in. Inhale to open. Exhale to draw in. A few more rounds, your own rhythm and breath here. And as you next time draw the palms in towards center to touch and connect, pause there. And take a moment to set focus, intention, direction for your time on your mat this morning. It might be around this idea of connecting to the heart, holding someone that you care for or that you even don't know in this place. And if that doesn't fully resonate, set an intention that works for you. And to honor this and each other's company here, gently fold your head down towards your heart space. And gradually release your hands. Take on some light with your eyes. And from there, if you're seated on a prop, remove it out to the side space. Extend your legs out in front. Gradually point your toes and make any little movement here just to release tension from the underside of your knees. And from that place, with the knees bent, feet onto the earth, hands come back behind. Inhale to press forward, open through your collarbones, chin lift for cow stretch. Exhale, round in. Hands can even lift a little bit, coming to the back of the legs, hamstrings to coil. Inhale to press down, open. Exhale to round in. Inhale to press, expand. Exhale to round in. Continue a few more rounds with this movement and breath. One more cycle to open your own speed. With the exhalation, pause with your low back at neutral space. Lift your feet off to the ground. Swing your legs back behind. If you need more knee support, use a blanket here. Hands come under shoulders, knees under your hips, or a little bit wider than that. With the inhale, extend your right leg back behind. Exhale to draw your knee in towards your body. Inhale, extend leg back up. With the exhalation, lower your right knee down to the earth. Inhale, left leg extends back behind. This time with the exhale, cross your left leg all the way over to the right, curl your toes. Inhale to lengthen through the top of your head. With exhale, create a little C-curve arc over to the right side. Inhale through center. Exhale, again, arc over to the right. And continue this motion, working with the support of your spine. Inhale to elongate. With the exhale, little curve. At your own speed, next inhale as you come to center, float your left leg. Exhale to hug, knee in towards center. Inhale, expand left leg back. Exhale to lower, knee down to the earth. In breath to expand, right leg back behind. Exhale, cross your right toes behind your left. Leg stays long, toes curled. Inhale to elongate top of your head. With exhale, gentle arc over to the left side. Continue this motion, move with your movement and breath here. Final cycle to arc over to the side. With your inhale, torso comes forward, right leg floats. Exhale to lower. Both knees touch down. Curl your toes under. Scoop a little bit of your tail round and dome your upper back. With the inhale, lift your knees off of the ground. Sustain here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale to lower back down. Inhale to expand right leg back behind. With your exhale, step your right foot through all the way in between of your hands. Curl your back toes under. Legs strong. Inhale to rise up, torso and arms to the sky. With exhale, both hands land onto your front thigh. Lean a little forward. Inhale to lift, back leg high. Exhale, step up to the front edge of your space. Rising to standing, feet hip distance apart. Root down, hands return to the heart. With inhale, open your arms out wide to the right and left. With exhale, draw in slightly, cross one arm over the other, bend your elbows, little hug. Inhale to lift, arms extend, exhale again. In breath to open, exhale to embrace. And continue a few rounds. Movement and breath. Feel free to layer on the ocean sounding breath, like contraction of the back of your throat. If that feels like a next layer of exploration, stay with a full connected breath. Final time, whichever side you're on, inhale to expand arms. With exhale, hinge at your hips, fold forward, right into forward bend. Micro bend your knees as much as you need for low back support, hamstrings. From here, either the hands stay long or take your hands to opposite elbows. Take a moment here in ragdoll pose. Feel free to sway right to left, forward, back. Very gentle motions. Two more cycles of conscious breath here, letting go of any tension from your spinal column, head and neck, mouth and jaw. And gradually, with an exhale, release your hands back down. Inhale to lift and lengthen halfway up. With exhale, bend your knees, shift the weight back behind. Inhale to root, rise back up to the sky, circle sweep the arms all the way. With the exhale, lower your hands down by the side of your body. Look down to a gaze point on the earth for support. With inhale, lift your arms back to the sky, lift the heels skyward as well, little balance. Exhale to lower back down. So balancing mountain pose, bend in the knees as you descend, inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. With the out breath lower, you can stay in this up and down motion, or for a little bit more fire, next time you elevate up, pause and sustain. Little micro shaking is totally welcome. Lengthen from shoulders to top of fingers. For more balance challenge, feel free to take your eyes to center or to the sky. Deep breaths. One more inhale. Exhale, land your heels down, arms open, hinge and fold right into forward bend. Inhale to lengthen halfway up. If you have blocks, feel free to use them by the side of your space or books. Exhale to fold back down to the ground. Forward bend. Inhale to elongate halfway rise. With the exhalation, fold back down to the ground. Gradually step your right foot back behind you. Sink down, back knee lowers for a knee down lunge. Inhale to lift, back leg rises. Do a little pulse. With exhale, lower your back knee, either to touch or hover. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Moving with your breath, your rhythm here. Next, inhale, pause with your back leg elevated here. Make any little micro motions. Lengthen from the low back all the way to the top of your head. Deep breathing. One more full inhalation. On your exhale, root into your front foot. Step forward, front edge of your space, forward folds. Inhale to lift and lengthen halfway up. With exhale, bend your knees, shift the weight back behind. Inhale, circle the arms, rise up all the way to standing. Exhale, hands to heart center. Take a little pulse. Inhale, open the arms right and left. Exhale, palms touch back at center. Inhale, lower the palms, sweep up, look down, lift through your heels, little balance. Exhale, land, heels touch down, hinge and fold, forward bend. Inhale to elongate halfway up. With your exhale, fold back down towards the earth, step your left foot back behind. Making any little micro movements here to adjust. And from there, pause, start your movement. Exhale to sink your back knee, either to touch or hover. Inhale to lift. Move with your own rhythm here. You can stay in this up and down motion, or for a little bit more, next time you elongate your leg, pause. Stabilize here, one long line from the back heel to the top of your head, building a little bit of fire through sustaining. The heart center, the heart qualities are really energies and qualities that help us sustain through life, to support, to connect, to honor. Deep breaths. One more inhale. Exhale, strong back leg. Step up, front edge of your space, forward bend. Inhale to elongate, halfway rise. With the exhale, bend your knees, shift the weight back. Inhale, circle, sweep the arms all the way to the sky. Exhale, palms move to center. Inhale again, open to the right and left, expand. Exhale, hands in middle. Lower the palms down, look down for gaze support. Inhale, rise up to your heels. Pause and sustain this time. Another round of balancing mountain. You can always sink the heels down for less. One more breath in. Exhale, hands fold through heart center. Lower your heels, hinge and fold, forward bend. Inhale to elongate, halfway rise. Exhale to fold back down to the earth. Inhale again, lift and lengthen halfway up. With exhalation, fold back down to the ground. Re-step your left foot back behind. Inhale, breath to lengthen. Exhale, lower your back knee down to the earth. In breath, lift up, torso and arms up to the sky. With exhale, take your left hand to your right knee, right arm back behind, either long or to your sacrum. And let this be a little bit of movement. With the inhalation, draw towards center. With exhale, spin, gentle twist. Inhale through center. Exhale to twist. One more time. Inhale, rotate towards center. Exhale, twist. Inhale to lift back up through middle space. Stay here with your exhalation. Take your hands to your low back. In breath to lift up and out of your waist. Start to lean a little bit back behind, chin tip skyward. If your back knee is not happy here, double up your mat or use a blanket or towel for more support. Inhale to rise, back up through center. Exhale, lower hands either to the earth or your block. In breath to lift your back leg high. Exhale to step your foot forward, forward bend. Inhale to elongate, halfway up. Exhale to fold back down. Inhale again, lengthen part way up. With exhalation, fold back down towards the space. Step your right foot back behind you. Lower your back knee down to the ground. Back toes can stay curled or uncurled, your choice. Inhale to lift, torso and arms rise to the sky. With exhalation, spin and twist. Right hand to front knee, left hand back behind. Add movement here. Inhale back off the twist. Exhale, sink more deeply. Move with your breath. A few more rounds. Final cycle here, your own speed to rotate. With inhale, rise. Both arms extend to the sky. With exhale, lower hands to your low back. Elbows mirror each other here. Inhale to lift up and out of your waist. A gentle lean back, mindful of the low spine. Chin tip skyward, open your heart center to the sky. Use inhaling breath to rise back up through center. Exhale, hinge, root, and breath to lift back leg high. Exhale, step up, front edge of your space, forward fold here. Inhale to lift and lengthen halfway. With exhalation, bend your knees, shift the weight back behind, inner leg super strong. Inhale to take your hands to heart center. One more breath here. With your exhalation, open your arms to the right and left. Exhale to draw palms back. You can always back off the knees if this is too intense. Otherwise, sustain a few rounds. Inhale to draw out. Exhale, hands to center. One more time. Inhale to open. Exhale. Lower your palms down. Look down at the earth. With inhale, rise up. Final cycle here. Balancing mountain. Lift your heels. Sustain or pulse out and back in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, lower your heels, hinge and bow forward fold. Inhale to elongate halfway up. Take your time with your exhalation, fold forward, step back right into down dog, hips high, fingertips spread wide, fingertips energize. Bend your knees for low back support if you're rounding. Tug your fingers forward, heels. Press in the direction of your mat, but don't need to touch. Sitting bones press towards the ceiling space. Lengthen out through your whole body here in downward facing dog. Few more cycles. Knees to the earth and tabletop, always an option for less fire. Stay with your breath. Use an inhaling breath. Next cycle, take your time to roll forward, high plank pose, top of a push-up. Again, these can come to the ground to help you out. Otherwise, stay here, one long line. If center of the body is collapsing, create buoyancy through your low back. Draw the upper shoulders skyward a little bit as well, so it's a slight rounding of the upper back. Navel towards spine, honoring any little turbulence here. One more inhale. Exhale. Again, knees can support or lower all the way from here down onto your belly. Uncurl your toes. Keep your legs hip distance. Hands slide a little back. Squeeze through the glutes. Legs heavy. Inhale, rise. Torso lengthens forward, then a little height. Exhale to fold. Cobra pose. Inhale to lift. Part way. Exhale to lower. Inhale, next time you rise, option for more heat, sustain here and pause. For even more fire, lift your palms off of the ground, legs stay rooted. You can always release a pose earlier than I guide you. At the same time, opportunity to play with a little bit of added sensation here. One more inhale. With your exhalation, pause, lower down. Take a moment, deep breath in. Optional sound or sigh, letting it go. And curl the toes under here, root into your palms, your fingers. Inhale to lift up either tabletop or lift your knees. Rise straight up through a reverse plank. Exhale, press back, downward facing dog. So using the options to support your practice, you can always make the practice more intense, less intense. So listening to your wisdom here. From down dog, inhale to expand your right leg high to the sky. Exhale, take your right knee wide towards your right elbow. Inhale to extend. Knee does not need to touch the elbow. Exhale, one more time, knee towards elbow. This time pause for 3, 2, 1. Inhale, leg high to the sky. Exhale, step your right foot through in between your hands. Take your time. Root into your feet. Inhale to lift up, torso and arms rise to the sky. Deep breath in. With exhale, hands lower to your heart space. Inhale to open your palms to the right and left. Keep them wide this time in cactus arms. Gaze out in front, deep breathing. Inhale here. With your exhalation, add a little bit of pulse. Lower your left knee to your degree. Could go all the way towards a hover for more heat or less. Inhale to rise. Front leg can straighten a little. Exhale again to lower. So moving a bit more slowly through this practice. Notice what that's doing to your mind, to your breath. If you find yourself scattered, bring your attention back to this experience. Final cycle, when you sink in to your back knee, pause and hover for 3, 2, 1. Inhale to rise. Back up, straighten through both of your legs. Take your hands through your hips. Back foot comes a little bit closer to you, flatten it out. So it's like railroad tracks here. Inhale to lift and lengthen. With the exhalation, start to lean a little bit back, sky gaze or pose for more of a shoulder stretch. Take your arms back behind, hands to opposite elbows. Super mindful to avoid any crank in the low spine. Inhale to lift up and out of your waist, noticing the level of lean back that supports you. Inhale to rise back up through center. Step up to the front edge of your space. Release your hands. Inhale, circle. Arms rise up to the sky. With your exhalation, bend at your elbows, cactus. Lower the shoulder blades down onto your back body. A few cycles this way. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, bend, wrap, shoulder blades. In, breath to lift. Exhale. One more time. Root down into the support of your feet. With inhale, lift your arms up to the sky. Options here to either interlace the hands, index finger to sky, thumb back for steeple, or take a wider box for more shoulder support. Inhale to lift. Exhale, arc over to your right side. Stay right there. For the next layer, explore a little bit of balance challenge. Root into your right foot. Left foot hovers off of the earth. So it could be a tap dance, hover and land, or it could be that the foot extends a little bit out. Staying in the arc, honor any fire on your standing leg. Inhale back up through center space. With the exhalation, hinge at your hips, bow forward, forward bend. Inhale to elongate, halfway rise. Exhalation to fold back down to the ground. Step back, high plank pose, top of a push-up, deep breath. Exhale to lower all the way down onto your belly, uncurl your toes. Root into your legs, squeeze your glutes, hand slide a little back, in breath to pull forward, then up, cobra. Option again to elevate the palms and sustain here a few rounds. One more inhale. Exhale to replant lower down to the earth. Curl your toes. Remember tabletop or lift your knees. Strong arms. Inhale to lift. Reverse plank. Exhale, press back. Downward facing dog pose. Inhale, left leg rises to the sky. Three-legged down dog. Exhale, shift your weight forward, left knee towards left elbow. Doesn't need to touch. Honoring your limb lengths. Inhale to elongate. Exhale again, draw forward. This time pause for 3, 2, 1. Inhale, leg to the sky. Exhale, step your foot through in between your hands. Take your time to adjust. Shorter stance if that feels more stable. Legs rooted, inhale to rise. Torso and arms to the sky. Exhale, hands lower down to heart center. Inhale, open, arms to the right and left, expand out. Pause with cactus. Check in with your front knee, front thigh here. Totally fine to back off the bend of your front knee if you need less fire. Deep breath here. With exhale, option to explore a little pulsing motion. Back knee moves towards a hover. Inhale to lift. Firing up through the quads. Exhale to lower. A few more rounds to move with your breath, your rhythm. Next cycle, as you descend down, option to pause and sustain here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale to rise back up. Exhale, lower your hands onto your hips. Take your back foot in, step up. Both feet flat, front leg straightens, hips square. Start to lean back as you lengthen through the top of your head. Sky gazer pose. Remain there or add the shoulder stretch. If there's more openness in your shoulders, always option to connect your palms. Slide the hands up the back body towards your shoulder blades. This intensifies the shoulder stretch quite a bit, so stay mindful. Keep grounded in your lower body as you expand through the heart space. Chin tip skyward. One more full inhale breath. Use your exhale, strong core to lean forward. Release your hands, step up to the front edge of your space. Forward fold. Root down, inhale to circle sweep the arms up to the sky. Interlace your hands or take the box option, your choice. Full breath. Exhale, lean over to the left side. Elongate through your side body. Stay right there, add the next layer. Root into your left foot. Right foot starts to play either with a tap dance, to play with balance, or expand your leg out to sustain. Relax your mouth, your jaw. Notice where your mind is at. One more inhale. Exhale to return your foot down. Lower your arms. Create a few little shoulder rolls. Rotate your shoulders up, back, and down. Pause, shoulders onto your back body. Inhale to circle, arms rise to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips, bow forward, right into forward bend. Inhale to lift and lengthen halfway up. Exhale, fold back down to the ground. Step back right into high plank pose, top of a push-up. Deep full breath. With your exhalation, lower your knees down to the ground. Mindful here, activate through your fingertips. Knees come a little bit back behind of your hips. Deep full breath. With the exhale, lean a little bit forward. Start to bend at your elbows. Elbows no lower than 90 degrees. Pause in supported low plank. Inhale to press back up. A few cycles here. Exhale again. Low, pause. Inhale to lift up. Few more rounds here. Exhale to lower. Pause. Inner arm strong. Inhale to lift. 2 more cycles here. One more cycle here. This time pause for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, lower all the way down onto your mat. Keep the legs hip distance, root down, legs active, glutes squeeze, arms extend back behind you like wings. Inhale, lengthen, lift your legs. Top of the head presses forward, torso rises, locust pose. Option to stay right there or explore, arms lifting, interlace the hands, knuckles stretch back. Deep active breaths. One more inhale. Exhale to lower all the way down to the earth. Palms can come forward for a little support. Either keep your chin at neutral or lay one side of your face down. Rotating the neck a little bit. Take a moment to notice, receive, feel. And gradually, if your head is to one side, bring it back to center, hands plant. Curl your toes under. This time, inhale to lift into tabletop position. Root down, knees under your hips. On an inhale, take your hands to your thighs, rise up all the way to kneeling position, arms to the sky. With exhale, hands lower down in front of your heart. Inhale to open your arms to the wide space. With your exhalation, start to lean back. Hands come to your heart. Inhale, open back through center. Exhale, lean back. Squeeze through your inner legs. Activate through your glutes here, little scoop in the tail. Super protection on the low spine in these little core and camel pose variations. You can stay in this forward and back motion, or next time you lean back for a little bit more activation, pause here, stay with the squeeze, lots of length, honoring any little shaking. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale to lift, back up through center. Exhale, lower back to the earth tabletop. Curl your toes, fire up through fingers. Inhale, press back, hips back, head in between your arms, downward facing dog pose. 3 rounds of connected, cleansing breaths here in down dog. On your inhale, roll forward, high plank pose, top of a push-up here. Stabilize, knees can always support. A few cycles for final round of fire building here, honoring the space of your heart. With your exhalation, slowly lower all the way back down onto the earth. Lower body anchors, arms long. Another cycle, locust pose. Inhale to lift and create length. Center of the body strong. Play with arm options. If you're interlacing, explore, fingers wrap in the opposite way. One more inhale. Exhale to slowly lower back down to the ground, either head to opposite side or chin rests at neutral space. Take a moment to feel, to receive. And from there, with your hands supported by the side of your space, take a moment or two to roll right onto your back body. Flip your whole body down onto your mat. Hug your knees into center. Make any little circles, motions with your low back, sacrum, one direction, then the other direction. Gently pause, feet land onto the ground here. Heels about 5 to 6 inches away from your sitting bones, feet hip distance, arms long, root down, shoulders, head. Inhale, squeeze through your glutes, start to lift, center of the body rises for bridge pose. Relax your head, chin stays level and neutral. If this is too intense, lower down, then come back into the pose. Otherwise, sustain here. Option to squeeze one shoulder under, then the other under. If that's available, hands can interlace. Stretching the knuckles towards your heels, heart opens. Keep your inner legs active as if you were hugging a cushion or a block. Continue to expand through the front body. Remember, you can release the pose earlier. Otherwise, stay here a few more cycles. Length through your spine, connecting to the center of the heart. This ability that we have to connect to compassion, to care, to holding space for others, recognizing the potency and the strength of community, of contribution. One more inhale. And with your exhale, slow release. Unlace the fingers if they're laced, lower hips back down to the earth. Take a moment, brief pause to receive, drink in your pose. And from there, once again, hug your knees in to center space, making a little circles, low back, sacrum. Rotate in the opposite direction. And from here, pause at the middle space. Transfer your hands to the back of your hamstrings. Lift your feet to the sky. Micro bend in your knees. Welcome. Create a little bit of a tug down, pulling the legs in towards the hips. At the same time, press your feet, toes back to the sky to generate a little bit of a stretch for the hamstring. If you're not feeling enough, draw your legs more towards you. Notice if that creates a shift. One more breath here. And with the exhalation, release, bend through your knees. Extend your right leg long, left foot comes to the inside of your right leg. Arms extend to the side, either T position or bend the elbows for cactus arms. Inhale, deep breath here. Use the support of your left foot. Actually lift your hips, scooch everything a little bit over to the left side. So it's a lift, scooch, and lower of the hips and glutes. From there, keeping that, start to twist your left leg over towards the right side. Notice your left shoulder, keep it anchored towards the earth. So if you've lifted your left shoulder off the ground, re-ground it. Might mean that your knee won't go as far. That's fine. You'll still get a juicy twist. This is creating lots of tension. Know that you can also place a prop here to the side of your knee, propping it with a block or a book or blanket, towel. Soften any tension through your mouth, your jaw. And especially as we slow down the practice, check in again with your mind. Where is your attention? Where is your focus? If you're drifting to other places, past, future, opportunity to come back to this moment here and now. In your next inhaling breath, take your time, gradually lift your left knee, readjust your hips and pelvis towards center. Extend your left leg long, right foot to the inside of your left thigh. And from here, again, use the support of your right foot to lift hips and pelvis, scooch over to the right side, land back down. And from here, start to lift your right knee up and over for the twist. Right shoulder stays anchored on the ground. And from there, use the breath as a support here. With every inhale, feel the side of your ribs inflating, expanding. With every exhale, soften through. Where can you release tension? If your pectoral muscles are a little bit more contracted, sometimes people will feel a stretch here as well. Use your next soft inhaling breath to return your knee back to center. Both feet on the ground to help you out. Rebalance your hips and pelvis to a neutral space. Next soft inhale, lift your feet off the ground, knees towards you. Take happy baby pose, feet to the sky, hands land to ankles, calves, even underside of the knees. Key here is to keep your low back and sacrum on the ground. Little tug down through the legs at the same time, feet press back to the sky in a gentle resistance. Notice what you're feeling through your inner groins. And feel free to stay static or gentle rock from right to left if your low back feels cozy as you do that. From this little rock, take the next 1 to 2 minutes to explore on your own. What else are you needing? What else is being called for in your practice this morning? Listening to the inner wisdom of your heart, of your body. If you find that what is calling you most is to rest for some added time, give yourself that gift and extend your body long, moving into the final posture for relaxation. And if you're still in your own movement, take your time the next 5 to 10 rounds of breath. Begin to make your way towards a resting posture. If you're settling into the place of relaxation, take time to cover your body with any added layers or cover your eyes with an additional item of clothing. If your low back is sensitive, place something under your knees. You could also just bend the knees and let one knee rest to the side of the other. Space out your limbs, ensuring that your body is fully supported in deep, deep comfort. And as you're settling into your space of rest, take one more deep, full breath in. Open mouth, exhale, let it all go. Audible sound or sigh. Envision the layer of your skin like a soft, soothing blanket. Allow the tissues of muscles to unwind, unwrap from any final holding. Invite your bones to be heavy, as if they were making an imprint on the ground. Relax through your mouth, your jaw. Soften your cheekbones, ears. Allow your temples, eyelids, forehead to be spacious. Whole body at ease. And simply be here, allowing yourself to rest, to receive. I'll guide you back out in a few minutes. And very gradually become more aware of your body as you rest here. Know that you can always stay in this place of relaxation longer if your schedule allows. Otherwise, invite a deeper breath in and start to explore a few waking motions with your head, neck, eyes. And take any other movements that feel soothing here. With a soft in-breath, knees rise to center. Roll over to one side or the other side in a fetal position. And from this posture of kindness and care, find a supportive way to rise back up. Take a comfortable seat. Feel free to use a prop to uplift your spine. Keep your eyes soft or closed. Once you've settled in the seat, bring your palms to touch in front of your heart center. Coming back to this little outer gesture that can help us remember the qualities of the heart, this place of home that we can come back to. And to honor yourself for showing up, carving out this time, to affirm each other's company, even in the virtual space, and to acknowledge this power of the heart to remember all those out in the world, in your inner circle, your community circles that are leading with the heart first and making that offering. To that place, gently bow your head to your heart space. Celebrating your wisdom, your strength, your dedication. Namaste.